So I'm going to be working primarily off of the document that says ESA_WDE. And this was a two-pager that was provided to the superintendents at our superintendent's conference a couple months ago. And I'm sharing this with you because it came I think this is what it means. I'm just going to read those words, because what can happen in a situation like this is that someone could have heard someone say something that they heard about, and then that becomes how we operate. And I just want to go directly from Steamboat's mouth at this particular juncture. So page 1 is basically talking about, and when they say ESA, they're talking about anybody who signs up for the Steamboat Legacy Act, or the Steamboat Legacy Scholarship. So if it's a WHSAA sanctioned activity, and that's most of our activities starting in 9th grade, so 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Most of our activities, athletics, that are sanctioned by WHSAA, it's going to be business as usual. It's going to be very similar to what we've been doing now, where if a student who's homeschooled wants to come and be a part of an activity or an athletic activity that's sanctioned by WHSAA, they get to come, and we don't charge them anything other than what we would charge any other student. That's pretty much how we operate with That Works. Where it does change is that second bullet there, where it says when it comes to non-activities and classes, it states that services contracted for and provided by a public school district, including services provided by a public charter school. Services under this subparagraph may include, without limitation, individual classes and extracurricular activities and programs. And that's been interpreted to say that if they take any type of class or they participate in any type of activity in 7th or 8th grade, or 6th or 7th or junior high, as WHSAA doesn't sanction junior high sports or activities, then they have to fill out a contract with us. And that's where it gets that's where it continues to get a little more sticky. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that second page there. And I'm going to expand the writing. I knew I was in trouble when I got this slide from the WDE and the writing was this small. I knew there was a lot that was going to be said. So having an ESA student take a class in public school but not be enrolled in that public school, and I think that's a very important piece to remember. If any student is an ESA student, which means their parents have elected for them to take that Steamboat Scholarship, we cannot under any circumstance ever enroll them during the time they're taking that scholarship. So for example, we have a student, and I'm glad I have both Misty and Lisa here tonight just to confirm, but if we have a student who comes for 1 or 2 classes from home, we enroll them for that 1 or 2 classes, and they do that, and that's how we monitor their grades, and that's how we keep them on the books and everything. If they're an ESA student, we are not allowed to enroll them. FAPE does not apply at the state level. So FAPE being a free and appropriate public education, which is a very big statement when it comes to students with special needs, IEPs, the IDEA rulings. FAPE is not applicable, so that means that we do not have a school level or state level requirement to service students who are on an IEP. However, if we have a federal level, for example, child find would be something that would be federal. We have that obligation to still do child find in those pieces. And I probably wonder why pre-K is allowed as part of this one. But number 3 is probably the biggest hiccup for me. If a district does accept an ESA kid, there cannot be any credit given for a class, and all reporting the kid would be excluded from the district data. A transcript cannot be given. So here's my example. We have a student who was with us last year as an 8th grader, and the parents decided to keep them home and homeschool them, and they want to enroll them in some type of program at home, which is that's fine. that they can't do Algebra 1 with their program. But they've accepted the scholarship, so they would like to enter into a contract with us to do Algebra 1. We go through that process, we get approved as a service provider, which we'd have to publish our fee schedule. And we go through the process and we work out a contract with them, and they, let's say it's $1,500. I'll go $2,000. I don't know what it's worth, but $2,000. And the parents receive 25% of their ESA once a quarter. So they get down payment in July, and then October 1, January 1, March 1. So we'd ask for $500 in July, $500 in September, $500. You see how that works? It just, that would be the bill structure. And that student takes Algebra 1 with us, and they don't get any credit for it. They don't get any, nothing goes on a transcript. It's just, I think is that one, it was basically time for the student to sit and learn in the school setting, is basically how it's defined. So that, as a 9th grader, that student decides to do that. At the end of 9th grade, they tell their parents, you know, Mom and Dad, I really want to be back in school. I'd like to go back as a 10th grader. Now, our homeschool policy says that we'll review that curriculum that they did and decide if it's, because most of the time it's not accredited, but we would check that one. But our graduation requirement says you take Algebra 1 to graduate. They haven't taken Algebra, they took Algebra 1, but we couldn't assign them credit or anything for it. So technically that student should retake Algebra 1. And I think if we're in that business, we're confusing our patrons. And the other part about this is that if we could have a student walk in the door 1st of September and their parents say, we would like our student to be re-enrolled in your school. We've been homeschooling them. Historically, we've probably said, well, let's see if we can get you started tomorrow. We're not going to be able to do that now. We're going to have to stop, contact the state, confirm with the parents that they didn't take any part of the scholarship act for that year, because if they did, we should not enroll them. So if we were to enroll a student or have a student come to our school, or one of our schools, who they took the ESA and we didn't do a contract with, or that, I don't know how much the state would audit parents, but I know how much they audit us. And so the business practice here for me is that as a district, I think we should not be a provider. And if a parent elects to have their students take the education savings account for that year, unless it's for a WHSAA activity, we wouldn't accept them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it state statute that says we cannot give them credit if they take a class with us, or is that WDE guidance?
I don't have the statute pulled up right in front of me, but my belief is since I've heard that from 2 different places, yes.
But it's also like on the honor system too. The parent has to tell you guys that they actually were participant in the ESA, because they could say, okay, we're done homeschooling, bring them in, and just not tell you they were part of the ESA, right?
Which is why we want to take that, I'm going to call it a background check, breather second, you know, take a day to make sure. The state tells us that if a parent agrees to take the Steamboat Legacy scholarship, that those parents sign a contract with the state basically promising that they will notify any provider that they're receiving it, okay? But we have an obligation to find that out as well, just before we let people come in the door. So I've shared this information with the admin team, and it just feels like right now this isn't a great space for us. So we would like to, or our plan is to not file to be a provider and let parents know that their families are taking the Scholarship Act for the 25-26 school year outside of the WHSAA sanctioned activity or athletic. They wouldn't come to our buildings. What I did provide for you was just some different information that we've received from different sources, just so you could kind of start to process this. But numbers 3 and 4 are a big deal. And then if you look at the interesting part is like for number 6 there on that second page, because no credit is given, students can't be part of our CTE calculation, so they're therefore recommending that if you are a provider, you should charge more for any CTE class. And I don't even know how I would begin to decide how much one of our classes is worth. So.
I know.
Anyways, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes of your time this evening and just pass that on and share with you our direction at this point. It's pretty murky water. As of clarity, as of noon today, our superintendents have just are doing a survey. At least 20 districts have already committed to not being providers this year. Only 4 are yes, and 7 are still considering of the ones that responded. So there's a pretty strong voice right now.
I'm curious, do we need to have a link on our website for stakeholders within our district who maybe are considering this so that they know, or will they know if they, I mean, I just know how parents are, I guess, that getting informed, having enough links to be informed to where it's like, okay, this is why we're not doing this. Here's a link to the state, or, I mean, if we could put that on our website, just so that that information is out there for our district. I don't know if that's feasible, or...
I think we could make a link that just basically says Laramie 2 will not be a service provider.
Right.
And if you have questions, please let us know.
I think maybe we want to do that so that it's out there.
I'm really not sure, to be fair. I mean, how many of our current homeschool families
Right.
are interested in it, or, I mean, we have a very small amount of families that actually do both.
Right.
That come to us for an activity or an event. I can think of one right off the top of my head, but I think there's a handful.
Right.
Like I said, I read an editorial last week, and it said that 4,300 people have already applied for it, and so I don't know what that means in our neck of the woods.
Sure.
So, but we can definitely put that on the website.
I just think like if somebody moves in, you know, that just so that it's out there for stakeholders in Laramie County School District number 2. All right, is there any questions for Justin about this? I know when you were informing us at our agenda setting meeting, I just thought, wow, it's gonna be a conundrum across the state.
I think a lot of districts I've been visiting with, I know the state technology groups already started talking about it, because there's a whole different avenue of Power School.
Oh, yeah.
On how you would document and keep track. So we have a student who's on an ESA, and they're in our school, and we go to a evacuation. How do we account for kids, right? You know, if they're in our building. So I mean, there's a whole different level of putting students in Power School that we don't count. They're just in name only, you know, and then we have track attendance but not track attendance type piece. There's just a lot here to this. So, and perhaps in the future it changes and our perspective of it changes, but for right now I think it's a smart place to be to not do it for this coming school year.
Well, and I appreciate your group of superintendents having communication with each other as far as how they're feeling, and then our admin team too, so I appreciate that. So. All right, we have no work session items under number 3, but policy review. And we have a homeschooling policy, believe it or not.
I believe one of our trustees said if we're going to do policy this summer, let's do policy this summer. So we'll work on policy this summer. So, Madam Chair, I'm proposing this policy for a July and August reading. I'm not proposing it for today.
Right.
Although I do want you to realize that this is a result of House Bill 46, which turned into House Enrolled Act 28, which becomes law July 1.
Okay.
And the essence of this is it's basically changing our homeschool policy to say that we do not collect information on their curriculum and content. They basically notify us one time, whether it's before they ever start school or when they withdraw their student from our schools, that they're going to go to homeschool. And we already have a form. Policy JEC has a withdrawal form in it that they can mark, and we just need to be better about filling that out so we have the record. But we are not expected to, by Wyoming statute, to have parents check in with us every year. And we are not expected to review or provide access to the board of that content or curriculum. It's just basically the name. It was the Homeschool Freedom Act was the name of the bill, and this is the result. So basically, it cuts our policy by a third of what we had there, and so I'm presenting this as to follow your procedure that you outlined last month, Madam Chair, to present it at COW for the July and the August considerations. I also want you to know that it becomes a state law
July 1st.
July 1.
Okay. So we have the opportunity right now to view or air it out, I guess, how air out this policy. Does anybody have any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Julianne?
so this really isn't a question about any of the proposed changes. I'm just kind of looking at the second to the last paragraph on the current policy, which we're not changing, but where it says parents may also request state assessments for their homeschool children. Children who are enrolled at least 50% of the time in district programs are required to take state assessments. Do we, like this past year, do we have anybody that's fallen into that category that we know of?
I can't think of one that was over 50%.
So we didn't have anybody.
Nobody?
And then did we have any other parents that maybe they weren't 50%, but they wanted their students to take the state assessments? Did we have some of them?
I know we had several that were under the 50, but I'm not sure many of them opted for the test.
And I think, Madam Chair, Vice Madam Chair, Randall, I think that was part of the controversy of the Scholarship Act, was that there did seem to be a lot of oversight, and so if they elect to take from money for the Scholarship Act, they have some type of assessment that you must. It doesn't have to be YTOP or whatever. However, we've received guidance from our state superintendent that they have access to take it in the same environment and class as the rest of our kids if they choose to have them take YTOP, which personally I think would be very overwhelming for the student as well as the class to have a new face show up just for YTOP. So I wouldn't anticipate too much of that.
Okay. Is there any other questions for her?
Well, I think that would also be very difficult for the teachers because they don't know the kids to help them, support them through a testing process like that too. That would be interesting.
Dynamic, yeah.
And would they, if they opted for those tests, do they come to the school and do them?
Correct. The only way you can access the YTOP or the NAEP for that is through
Your director?
specific
Test
computer
director.
system and an app, or we use our Chromebook, we have an app that has to be approved. NAEP actually brings their own computers.
Oh, wow.
And they assess our kids using their own devices.
Have test for travel.
Yeah.
The van just keeps getting bigger, right?
Interesting.
So will you guys be comfortable with this first reading in July? Is it, I mean, it'll become law, but.
Yeah, I mean, it does follow the law. And basically, it just
Follow
takes
law.
out that they don't have to report their curriculum to us for the
Right.
most part.
Or contact us every year.
Or, yeah.
Right.
So,
We have a list of those that have already filed with us, so it's on our system again.
Okay. So good for that policy? All right, now potential policies, 4.2.
So, Madam Chair, it is my hope that in July I will bring to you JLCD. That's a pretty extensive rewrite. We have some very on the ball school nurses right now, and they're continually found holes in our current policy. So this is would be a change to administering medication to students. So you're welcome to look at that red line. It's probably a rewrite. I haven't received feedback from Mr. Kolpicki yet, but this is
I perused it. It was
yeah. But these are just holes that we found as we've gone through this process. So I anticipate bringing you a request for the board to consider that starting in July.
Okay.
IKF, we're going to split that into two pieces. We're going to have a procedure and a policy, and the CCC would like to have that ready for you this fall.
Okay.
So that's the plan there. And then we are on a hold with CKA at this point. So.
Wow. Board, any discussion on those?
Why are we on hold for the CKA?
Because we decided it was the state was mandating it.
So we're just choosing not to write a policy,
Right,
is what I
we're
hear you
just
saying.
choosing, right.
Yeah.
And you were,
Okay.
I believe you were here for that particular meeting. When we just said we're just going to choose to let the state of Wyoming own that, I guess, so to speak. Any other discussion? All right, since we're gonna be working on policy and our meetings are combined, do we wanna just leave that agenda items for the next COW meeting, to be just policies? Or is there something that we need to, what are you thinking, Cody? Got anything?
No.
Matt? Michael? Julianne? Kendrick? Billy? No. Okay. All right. Well then, we have executive sessions, 6.1, to discuss legal and personnel. So I do believe I need to entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
And Billy has moved,
Second.
and Cody has seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. We shall go.
Do you guys want to stay?
board meeting. Oh, June, January,
No, thank
June 9th, regular board meeting, 2025 of Laramie County School District number 2. Heavens, yeah. See, I'm 59, that's what happens. We're gonna start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, so would everybody please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. 1.2, recommended changes to the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Michael?
may I recommend to put an executive session after 6.1 for the need of legal personnel and safety.
Okay, it's been moved by Michael,
Second.
seconded by Cody. Is there any discussion, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we will be putting an executive session after 6.1. And we probably, if my computer doesn't update, remind me, okay? All right. Approval of the agenda, 1.3.
Madam Chair,
Michael?
I move to approve the agenda as presented with changes.
Michael has approved, or Michael has moved it. Julianne seconded. Any discussion? Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right. Now, here's the fun part, why everybody's here. 1.4, a recognition. So, Mr. Sweeter, take us away.
All right, today I have 2 students to recognize. Ladies first. As you know, at Pine Bluffs High School, we have a distinguished and an honored board for our ACT Hall of Fame. Ashton got a 30 this year, so she will be getting her own private plaque, her own personal plaque on the distinguished. A little side story. I have a little camp out in the hallway sometimes where I sit, and Ashton, as soon as she got her scores, her email, came and found me, and Sweeter, I just popped a 30 on the ACT. I'm paraphrasing, she probably didn't say popped. I just popped a 30 on the ACT. So I was excited, high fives, whatever. So then I turn around and text Liz right away. Hey, congratulations, Mom. Ashton just got a 30. Didn't realize that I had, Mom didn't know that yet. So I let the cat out of the bag, maybe.
I was actually trying to message her for her password to get her score. As I messaging her, you popped up, and I went, oh.
So I should, in the future, I should pause on that a little bit. But we were excited, so I was proud of her. Proud of her.
I'm very
She's 1 and 2. In July, I should have the other gentleman. He's at engineering camp today. So.
Okay, all right. Well,
And you want to do them one at a time or together?
let's do them together since they're here. So
Okay.
who's your other fella?
My other fella is Carson Freeberg, all state, all conference, all regional basketball player. Just a great player. If you haven't seen him play, the great thing about him is you get one more year. So he'll.
And Mom's back there already like.
Oh yeah.
Sobbing.
He does a ton of good things on the basketball floor. Obviously the football field as well. So come see him next year.
All right. Well, would you guys come forward and?
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations.
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 Thank you very much.
Yes, well done.
Good job, Steve.
Good job.
Congratulations, good, maybe sweet. There, we'll get.
Yeah, we get to do that.
She's smiling.
Should I stand up? That'll do it right there. Write that one out.
How's that?
Yeah, it's great.
You guys get everybody in? All right.
Right here, there's your smiles. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Good job. Enjoy your summer vacation too, right? But you're probably going to camps and still studying and. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I told him.
Yeah, you can clear out. We appreciate you coming, Bill. Thank you. All right. did we have any visitors and patrons comments? Okay, none for this month. We're gonna go to the consent agenda then. Item 2, we have the approval of minutes for May 12th. We have the approval of executive session minutes for May 12th. We have approval of warrants, and then how we usually do, since I've been on the board, is usually in June, there's some late June checks that need approved, and in the past, Misty has usually emailed us, and we've approved them through an email. So that's been kind of our protocol for the month of June. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Okay, these ones are coming by, the executive session minutes. Did everybody have a chance to view the regular board minutes and the warrants? Cody.
Madam Chair, I recuse myself from voting on warrant 3006, payable capital roofing.
Okay. Have you seen them?
Yep, I wrote them.
Madam Chair,
Julianne.
before we vote on the consent agenda, I just have one quick question. If I can find it. Through you to Misty, the check number 84648. Can you tell me what that was for? I think I know, but I just want to make sure that it is what I think it is.
846.
84648.
84648. Madam Chair, Trustee Randall, so that is the repayment, that's our recapture repayment as well as the reimbursement of the entitlement. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the finance.
Why ever would that number bring up?
That was quite a big number.
Okay, well, as long as that's what it was for, that was fine.
Okay, and Cody,
Thank you.
you're recusing yourself,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said? Okay. All right, so any other questions regarding the consent agenda?
Madam Chair,
Billy?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Been moved by Billy,
Second.
seconded by Kendra. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we have approved the consent agenda. Now we get Misty to rock and roll in the finances. Section 3.
Madam Chair, attached is the enrollment report as of the end of the year. So we ended the year with 1,019 students. You can see down below that makes our ADM for the year 1,021.7 compared to what we were funded on this year of 1,055.7, so down 33.9. And if we look at our 3-year rolling average, there will be a decrease in funding of almost 12 students, so 11.81. And then attached is the financial report as well. So you can see that for the revenues, it's gone down, and that is a result, Madam Chair, of that payment to the Department of Education, our recapture payment and the reimbursement of the entitlement payment that we've received this year is actually a negative revenue. So as opposed to being an expenditure, it reduces our revenue. So we've received 82% of the budgeted amount, and that compares to this time last year when it was 94.2. Unfortunately, our taxes, I don't think are gonna come in as high as what I had estimated. Remember, I had to do my final report in March. So all of this is based off of March numbers. I did get an email from Tammy. I emailed her earlier this week, our county treasurer, to see where we were coming in, and she thought it was gonna be lower than what we had originally anticipated. So now I'm estimating that we will have a tax shortfall next year. And I'm working with WDE. I'm a little concerned about paying that full recapture entitlement payment. Just from a cash flow perspective, it makes me a little nervous because now we won't get another payment until August. So I've emailed the Department of Ed to see if we can make installment payments of that amount, knowing that our revenues just didn't come in as high as we'd anticipated. So I've emailed them asking about making installment payments for that $2.2 million. So that check may be void. It's actually due the 26th of June. So we may void that check and then reissue. But I want to get a better understanding of if we do do installment payments and we still feel like we need a loan, you know, kind of what that looks like, how many payments they'll let us break it up into, and that sort of thing. So I'll work with them to get that resolved here in the next week, hopefully, soon.
Alrighty.
So you may see another payment on the late June warrants. So don't be alarmed. I mean, if there's another payment to WD, it won't be that large, but just know that we did void that check and then we were gonna break it down into smaller payments.
We can always call you and say.
You can ask. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Alrighty.
And then for our expenditure, oh, sorry, any questions on revenue?
Questions on revenue?
And then for expenditures, we've expended or encumbered 92.4%, and that compares to this time last year when it was 94.2.
Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Michael?
I move to approve the financial report as presented.
It's been moved by Michael,
Second.
seconded by Cody. Is there any discussion? All those in favor to approve the financial report as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved, so we approved that. Okay, auditing services.
Madam Chair, attached is the engagement letter. So this is the standard letter that we receive every year from Lee O'Reilly, just kind of outlining their services and, you know, their expectations of us as far as the audit goes. There has been a slight increase in the fees, of course. So last year it was $27,500. This year it went up $2,000, so about a 7.3% increase. So he generally does a pretty good job for us. I tried to go back to see how long he'd been auditing the district. I mean, he's been doing it since I was here, and I could find documents 15 years back. I didn't go into the vault and try to go back and and he's been doing our audit for quite some time, so very familiar with the district.
Madam Chair,
Julianne?
I move to approve the recommendation to have Leo Riley and Company perform the audit for the year ending June 30th, 2025.
It's been moved by Julianne, seconded by Billy. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I think he's been doing the audit as long as I've been on the board.
Yeah, Madam Chair, he probably has. Like I say, I went back as far as I could find documents
I
for
don't
him in my
remember
computer.
anybody else doing it
And
since
then
I've been on the board.
Well, I know he's pretty thorough. I mean, it gets to be a long meeting, but he's pretty thorough, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, we move to approve Leo Riley and Company. All right, 3.3, bus lease financing.
Madam Chair, attached is the option to purchase agreement and resolution for the lease. So this is the bus that was approved by the board in November. So the bus is in Casper and hopefully will be delivered before the end of the month. So we just need to get these documents in place. We'll actually make a lease payment this year, which may seem soon, but that way it'll allocate over the 5 years in correlation with how we'll be reimbursed for the lease. The one that you just approved, they have, I guess, been caught up on buses. So the one that you just approved last month, we'll probably bring another lease option forward in August for that bus. It's, like I say, they've gotten caught up, I'm assuming, because it's close to being delivered as well, so.
Okay.
Sorry, and I didn't give you who it was with. It's with Bighorn Federal Savings Bank. They submitted the lowest interest rate of 4.75%.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Michael?
I move to approve the lease and the option to purchase agreement and the resolution as presented to supply lease financing for the route bus that was approved at the November 2024 board meeting.
Okay, it's been moved by Michael, seconded by Billy. Any discussion? Okay, word. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, it's approved. Our new business, 4.1, special service contracts. Shannon, you're up.
Madam Chair, attached are the renewal of our special services contracts for the 25-26 school year. We have had contracts with these for at least since last year, so.
Any questions for Shannon?
Madam Chair,
Billy?
I move to approve the renewal of the special services contracts for Children's Therapy Group, Associates in Therapy for Infants and Children, Volunteers of America, Sensational Kids, Stride Learning Center, and Clover Therapy Services for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, it's been moved by Billy, seconded by Kendra. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, they are approved. Our Laramie County, Laramie 2 FFA MOU. Where is Michael's?
Right?
All right.
Probably throwing something at the computer screen.
Right.
Madam Chair, this is the same MOU that we approved 2 years ago. We just made a little bit of change of the language for the participation disclaimer. Outside of that, it's the same MOU with, it's a 1-year MOU with the option to make no changes and approve for a second year. So I'm asking for it to continue. Our 2 FFA groups have adapted well to the expectations, and I feel like things have gone well.
Madam Chair,
Billy?
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between Laramie County and Laramie County School District 2 as presented.
Been moved by Billy,
Second.
seconded by Cody. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Billy, or
I just,
Julianne, sorry. I'm really not on fire at all.
I don't have a question, I just have a couple comments. First of all, I was chairman when this first all came about, so it's been like 4 years ago.
Three.
I
Three for sure.
believe, yeah, probably 4 because whatever. Anyway, and it was kind of a conundrum when it first started, but I have to say that the one thing I like, and I pretty much read through all their pages and pages of duties the way they have them delineated between the fair and, you know, our FFA advisors or the FFA organization, and I think that's really good. I think they did a really good job of spelling all that out, so
Okay.
that's my only comment.
Well, that's good to have spelled out, because we kind of went over this for quite a while. So that's good. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. There is no old business tonight, so we will move to 6.1, our policy GCC, staff leaves and absences.
Madam Chair, this policy was amended last month on second reading, and the board asked that it be cleaned up, so there's a final clean version for you. There's been no changes since then to this policy.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the request was to have a no red version, so we've got that before us.
Madam Chair,
Billy?
I move to approve policy GDC, staff leaves of absences on third and final reading.
It's been moved by Billy,
Second.
seconded by Cody. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, you have to.
Oh, public comment, thank you. I'm sorry, we should have done that before we even had.
You're
the
fine,
vote.
you're fine.
So let's have any public comment. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm just rolling along here like I'm on summer vacation.
Point of order to that though, you can still get the motion and the second and still have public comment,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
so-
Like, so
yeah.
you didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
That's fine.
So is there any public comment? Seeing none, so we have no public comment. Now we have board comment, correct? Okay. I'm glad you guys are here to keep me on task. Any board comment? All right, shall we move to a vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes on third and final reading. All right, we had added an executive session right now, so I remembered that.
Madam Chair,
Michael.
I move to go into executive session for the reason of personnel, legal, and safety.
Michael, been moved by Michael, second by Billy. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, we'll go into executive session. Should we move into?
We'll leave, yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we are officially out of executive session. So now we are moving to section 7, hires, transfers, and resignations.
Madam Chair,
Julianne,
I move to approve the following personnel pending certification and background checks as required. For the 2025-26 school year, Beverly Crump will be a math teacher at Burns High School. Dave Mead, a music teacher at Pine Bluffs High School. Rebecca Sager, a science teacher at Pine Bluffs High School. Evan Townsend will be the new Burns Junior Senior High principal. And I guess that's
okay,
it for that motion.
for that motion. So it's been moved by Julianne. Seconded by Kendra. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, and I know we want to recognize Misty. Thank you, Misty, for your years of service. We very much appreciate you. We're gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you all too.
And also resigning is Ashley Russo as our Pine Bluffs High School Student Council Advisor. Thank you for your service in that position as well. Cole Manlove is retiring and resigning from our Pine Bluffs High School track and Pine Bluffs High School, Burns High School indoor track coach. And we appreciate his many years of service in that as well. And Ashley Tureen, our Pine Bluffs junior high track coach. So thank you all. And with that,
Madam Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, so I move to approve the extra duty assignments for the 2025-26 school year as presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Julianne for the extra duty, seconded by Cody. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right. So we're kind of getting August all lined out here for ourselves. Hopefully, huh? All right, under section 8, information and discussion facilities update. Lance, I imagine that's you.
Thank you, ma'am. So recently just had a audit, an accessibility audit for like handicap spaces, compliance in the buildings, and availability for those services for those folks. Mostly compliant in the 2 high schools that we looked at. Did a lot of measuring and things like that. Some exceptions that I'm going to be taking care of. We have a toilet that's not high enough in a designated accessible bathroom. We got some issues in the showers in the locker rooms that we got to take care of. Some soap dispensers that need moved for height and hand towel dispensers. Some grab bars and things like that, but overall pretty good audit. And from what I hear, it can be costly. We're not in compliance, so we were pleased there. Currently what we got going on, we got a couple of room remodels going on. Those are the music rooms. They're in good progress right now. If you happen to be in the schools, feel free to take a look at those. We have one room complete rebuild going on down here in Pine Bluffs High School. We got a large flooring project that is starting tomorrow morning. Preventative maintenance going on with all the heating systems right now. Curb and gutter project starting. A lot of painting, a lot of cleaning, deep cleaning. Grounds and maintenance are in full swing. I think the campuses look pretty good, but we've got some weeds to take care of out there. Windows, doors, sprinkler systems, just there's a lot going on right now.
It's your harvest, yeah. I
So-
understand.
So, I didn't upload anything this time, but I sure can, if you guys need that, but, that's what we've got going
Well, I
on.
appreciate the invitation to come and take a look
Yeah.
around, so, Board, if you're around.
Yeah, Madam Chair, 2 things. Number 1, shout out to Lance. The CTE audit that we went through last week was a pretty big deal. I mean, he doesn't play very big, but it's a
That's
big
a pretty
deal.
big deal.
And
Okay.
how we walked away from it's pretty awesome. So,
Okay. Very good.
shout out to that one. And then, Mr. West, what are you estimating damage from last week's hailstorm? What do you think there?
Yeah, I'm in the process of looking at all that. Burns had pretty significant hailstorm. I don't know if you guys were around town when that happened, but definitely could have some roof damage up there. We had water come back into the building because the hail piled up, all that sort of stuff. That didn't really damage anything. We had vehicles that got damaged. I think there's going to be another storm, and so I haven't got too excited about it this week. But we don't have major leaks.
And we have Frontier Days to get through.
In either building in Burns, we don't have major leaks in the roof right now. I'm speculating there's something up there.
I was gonna say, don't say the gym floor.
No.
They worked like crazy to get out of that.
We had a lot of folks in there that night, teachers, there were some students that were in a basketball camp that was going on. Everybody had a push broom. We were irrigating, getting it out, so didn't hurt any floors.
Thank you, Lance, for your due diligence for the district. Appreciate it. Is there any questions for Lance? All right, moving on. 8.2, our board COW meeting dates. Again, next month we're combined. It's on the 14th of July, and it'll be here at 6 p.m.
Madam Chair, just a reminder that is a required budget hearing as well, so we'll start at 7, I think, historically, so we'll start at 7 with the budget hearing.
Okay.
No matter where we're at in either one of the other 2 agendas, we'll pause for that.
Okay.
And then I believe most of you have received an email from WSBA on the fall roundup, which would be Thursday, September 11th. Just putting it out there as a possibility in a couple of months.
And then Kendra and I know have so far both signed up for the law conference in August. So, and if anybody else wants to join us, that'd be great. So, very good.
Okay.
With that, if there's anybody else has any additions, all right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.